If there is something we have been at Cosan, is to be always ready to identify growth opportunities and to contribute to the development of our country. Now is time to concentrate and to consolidate our energy. We are the one and only Cosan. With a simplified and more efficient corporate structure, we are the largest Brazilian conglomerate in the energy and logistics segments. We are more prepared than ever, ready to work even more for the sustainable development of Brazil. Through Compass's gas and energy solutions, through the efficient, clean, and reliable logistics of Rumo, through Moove's high-performance lubricants, and through Raízen's clean and renewable energy. That is our essence, grounded on economic, environmental, social, and governance principles. We are ready for the future, always performing with excellence and connected with technology and digitalization trends. More than ever, we are ready to dream higher and run together. Cosan, partners in your journey.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Cosan Day 2021. What a year since we last met in our 2020 Investor Day. We still managed to do the Brazilian event in person back then, but canceled the New York one. Brazil was in fact locked down by the end of that week. The original plan today was for a virtual event anyways, but we would have presenters in a nice professional studio. New normal, changed plans again, quick adapt, health and safety first. So each of us in its own room, praying for technology to behave. And yes, the show must go on. We did it in 2020, and we remain confident in our ability to keep on doing. So the agenda today is, and as we did in previous years, we start with presentation from our businesses, Raízen, Moove, Compass, and Rumo, in that order. And then Cosan, now one and only. Each presentation will be followed by a Q&A session with sell-side analysts joining remotely as well. But all participants are encouraged to send questions through the chat. We'll try and squeeze those questions in, otherwise we'll respond to you directly later on. All the presentations are available for download in our website. So let's get the ball rolling and welcome Cosan CEO Luiz Henrique Guimarães to officially open the event. Luiz, the floor is yours. Maybe the screen is yours. So here we go.
Thank you, Paul, and good morning to everyone. It's great to be here again. Unfortunately, it's been a long time since we could meet in person. I'm sure very soon we'll be together again. But before we get onto the business, I want to pay our gratitude for the doctors, nurses, health staff all over the world that have been the real heroes in fighting this terrible disease. And they have been doing an incredible job. And also the scientists that have developed the vaccine so quickly in record levels, proving that human beings are capable of incredible advancements when they work together, use technology, and have a common purpose. I also want to now thank all the staff from the group, the people in the gas fields, in the gas running in the cities of São Paulo, the guys on our locomotive networks of Rumo, the guys on our plantations and the fuel stations, the pump attendants, the dealers, our distributors with lubricants, so everyone that not have stopped one moment last year and continue to do so to ensure that the energy and logistics and food and goods are getting to the customers and to society in Brazil and all over the world. So I'm very proud of the team that have never stopped and have played an incredible role in terms of safety and playing again with all the health instruments. So team was incredible this year. So I want to start with my first presentation here, just show you guys how much has been achieved in terms of our priorities that are non-negotiable, which are safety, and we continue to perform in operational excellence mode So we continue to have very good standards in terms of LTIFs that we have been measured over the last few years in all the business. We still have opportunities to improve. We're still working very hard and using technology, culture, and behavior of people to ensure that we continue to seek the zero accident metric that would make us all very proud when we get there and continue to be there. We also have worked a lot on the social responsibility side. We started right in March our no layoffs movement with other companies that maintain jobs in Brazil and elsewhere in the world so that people could concentrate in serving the customers, maintaining the safety levels, and concentrate in providing safe energy and clean energy and safe logistics and efficient logistics. We also have participated in several donation programs to help the less affluent people in several fronts as well as on the health front, and have participated in an incredible movement that has happened in Brazil for the elections at the end of the year, ensuring that every place in Brazil has ethanol 70 for the safety of the people that are voting and the people working for the voting to proceed. We also have very proud reduced emissions for our customers in Raízen, 5.2 million tons of CO2 equivalent, and in Rumo, 2.7 million tons of equivalent, which has been what we have been doing in terms of expanding our capacity in Rumo and replacing gasoline with ethanol in our more than 7,000 stations across Brazil and 700 in Argentina. We also have invested a lot of time in improving our diversity. A lot of work still ahead of us, but we have put new board members in 2020. We're very proud to have Paula, Janet, and Jorge Celestino with us, increasing our ability to see the world with different lenses, as well as bringing a lot of experience in different sectors and in governance as well. We also have a big program increasing female talents at all levels. Still, as you see on the plans from the companies, a lot to be done, but we are really using that as a proving point and discussion on all our business reviews with management board and our people committees on our governance structure. And of course, we have developed and deliver our simplification that Marcelo will talk about in more detail later, also enhance our policy and invest a lot of time in improving our information security with new people, new technology, and especially a change in improving our culture and how we treat safety and security in terms of information and the way we are digitalizing this process and connections with customers and suppliers is even more important. So today will be about talking about the business. You will continue to hear from us about what we have done, but more important today, we're going to concentrate on the future. You have on the material all the results from 2020 or guidance, etc. So Musa, Beto, Nelson, and Felipe will talk about exciting plans we have ahead of us. As Moove, our global reference in lubricants, we're expanding globally. You're going to hear a lot about that. With Compass, the platform to be able to ride the gas and power transformation in the sector that's happening in Brazil, and Compass is very well positioned for that. Rumo delivered cleaner and lower cost logistics that connects production to the world, and Raízen that's reshaping the future of energy and the proximity sector. So I'm sure you're going to like the stories. You're going to have the chance to ask questions and hear from the people that are doing that, the leaders for the business with their teams are delivering very good work, and we are very excited about the future. So with that, I'm going to ask the film for Raízen to be played and ask Musa to take the floor, and we continue. See you at the end of the event. All the best, guys. Have a good day.
It's that old story, you know? First, we mastered kinetic energy, and that was good for a while. Then we saw that using fossil fuels would be good. And with electric power, humanity made a leap forward. Cities got bigger. And with less manual labor, we had time to make progress in all areas of knowledge. We created new lenses to see the world through. We learned more about everything, including about the consequences of intensively extracting resources from the planet. Now we know that fossil fuels are an important resource, but they're finite, and they produce gases that affect the climate. So how are we going to generate fewer greenhouse gases with a population and power consumption that just keeps growing? At Raízen, we had some good ideas. and we've already put them into practice. Nature always gives us a solution, and biomass is our oil. For example, we use sugarcane to produce biofuels. Ethanol is a green fuel that replaces gasoline. And we can even make more second-generation ethanol from the industrial waste, generating bioelectricity and producing pellets that are a great substitute for coal, as well as biogas that can replace diesel and be used to generate electricity. This is a good way to counterbalance the intermittency we'll face as other renewable energy sources like wind and solar grow. Nobody said it would be easy, but we know it's possible. It's not with a single solution, but rather with a combination of various renewable resources that will achieve ever cleaner and more sustainable power. It's that old story, you know? We haven't come this far by chance. And if it depends on energy from Raízen, we're going a whole lot further.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Excited to be here. Wish we were in person, but next year we're going to be there. I have a brief presentation about Raízen. You saw the video here already talking about a lot of the things that we have developed in our company. I would like to start here today talking about our new reporting structure. You used to see Raízen as two companies, Raízen Combustível e Energia, and for quite some time now, we developed a new type of business that we like to the reporting structure to reflect upon. So over the past years, I'm going to talk a little bit here on the presentation about what we developed on the renewable side, new technologies, new products, change completely the portfolio of products that we own, moving away only from sugar and ethanol. We have much more advanced portfolio now. We created, so therefore, the renewables piece. That's the renewables platform. The other change was proximity and retail, marketing and services, and also the sugar business. So that's a way that we have been running a company for quite some time now, and it's time to adjust the reporting structure for that. This is quite unique. I'm going to use that word a lot in my presentation today, and I want that to reflect in the way that we report. The presentation today, we have the agenda is separating three different topics: our nature, explaining what we are, our unique ecosystem to go into our competitive advantages, and also talking about our future. Let's move on to our nature. I like this slide because it shows a lot about why invest in sugarcane. Of course, I use with my team here always the words that we are on the right place at the right time with the right culture, with the right company. And let's start with the right place. Talking about Brazil. Brazil has, everybody knows, a lot of land availability, the weather, sun, we have water availability, great export logistics helped by Rumo, and also the right culture. So sugarcane is a fantastic plant. That's a combination. If you see the potential of sugarcane to convert solar energy into biomass is quite unique. You can go up to 160 tons per hectare. That's comparing to corn, that is 11 tons. Comparing to beet in Europe, that is 28 tons. So it's a fantastic plant to convert solar into biomass. It's one of the most efficient plants to do that. That's why we have the right culture, that's sugarcane. We have the right place, that is Brazil. And we have the right company. Raízen is a company that has been formed almost 10 years ago with this purpose to transform the energy, the market of energy. And this company has now zero deforestation. We have certified 100% of our sugarcane. We have more than 60% of all the Bom Sucro certificates today. So that's the right company with the right place, with the right and the right time. Why the right time? You can see on the bottom right here, the footprint that ethanol first generation and ethanol second generation compared to other sources of energy. So that's what the world needs. We are already in that moment with the right culture. Well, if you go to the next slide, you see that let's spend a little bit more time on this slide. That shows the portfolio. We used to talk about sugar mills, and that's no longer the reality. If you look what we have done over the past years, we developed proprietary technology. So we developed second generation ethanol. That's an amazing way of increasing our productivity without planting one single additional hectare of sugarcane. You can increase your ethanol production by 50% without increasing your acreage, your planted area. This is a proprietary technology developed even before when we started Raízen. Shell contributed into Raízen. The technology came from Iogen, from Codexis, from US and Canada. We keep investing in that technology inside the company. And finally now, we are in a moment that we can deploy that in a much larger scale. So that's, again, technology combined with the biomass of the plant, very unique to us. Cogeneration, that's something that you already know. We produce electricity from our plants. We still have potential to keep growing that production. For Raízen today, if you take our 26 sites, we only produce in 14 sites. We can go further ahead. Next year, we're going to have an additional one producing electricity. And also with Bio7 now coming in, this grow even further. Biogas is another thing that is quite recent. We launched last year on one of our mills, the largest biogas plant in South America, one of the largest globally. Again, unique proprietary technology. And the biogas is interesting because you are using a waste, there is a vinasse, to produce gas, and you can either convert that into electricity, or you can convert that into biomethane and replace the diesel in our own production side. So it's amazing because you are taking a waste and producing energy from that waste. So both E2G and biogas are new ways of transforming our biomass into energy. And again, this is proprietary done, and that's reality. People sometimes ask me, no, this is not for 10 years down the road. You can visit our plant, you can see the flare of the biogas plant, you can touch, you can see the E2G already up and running. We're selling the product at great premium prices. So this is a reality. Also, we have the pellets. That's a way, especially for Europe, to move away from coal and replace for a biomass that is renewable. So it's also, we have approved our pellets in Europe this year. So now we are going towards really focusing on commercial trades to increase the pellets production. So this is no longer sugar mills. That's why we talk now bioenergy parks. It's much more than sugar mills. That's the old way of looking to that. If you visit, if you see, for instance, our Bonfim mill, located here close to São Paulo, that's where we have biogas. We already have cogeneration. Soon we're going to have second generation ethanol, even chemicals, talking about in the near future. So that became no longer sugar mills. Now we talk about bioenergy parks. And with Bio7 in our portfolio, we have 35 bioenergy. That's the largest biomass and portfolio globally. We control our feedstock, very different from other companies. We have our own feedstock, renewable feedstock. We have our own technology, and that's quite unique. So that's the portfolio of Raízen. That's what we are planning for the future. Next slide, please. This is just to show, and I like that slide because when you compare, a lot of companies are talking about, okay, what we are going to be in 2050, in 30 years from now. So a lot of companies are still promising, and we are already delivering. That's the number. You can see that we have avoided 5.2 million tons of CO2 emissions per year. That was 2020. And that's just the beginning because we have with the E2G, biogas, even improving our efficiency, that we have a lot to improve in our production. We can reduce the emissions producing more ethanol. So that's, I like to say that Raízen is today what other companies, what they want to be in 15, 20 years time. And that's not something that we are promising already. So the next slide, you can see that's a very simple comparison. We see ourselves as a green champion today, not in the future. You compare if you compare with Tesla. Tesla is a company that has all the advantages of being a greener company. What they deliver in 11 years of existence, we almost deliver twice the same avoided emissions in just 1 year. That's the size of comparison. That's not something that we were looking for. And on the right side of the slide, you can see how competitive on the emission side ethanol, the E100 is compared even to electric vehicles. So for decarbonization, for the energy transition, that's the product of the future. We believe in that. We see through the pandemic, the markets are going to that direction. You can see India approving, Europe, even UK going to more into ethanol, and we have the solution for that, and that's the reality. Let's talk more now about our ecosystem. If you see the infrastructure that Raízen have, it's quite irreplicable. And why is that? If you take the heritage of our company, we came from ExxonMobil, from Shell, from Cosan. Those companies have been for quite some time in Brazil, so it's quite unique. We have an infrastructure, we have ports in Brazil that we have been here for many years, 120 years. So we have selected the best locations, the best infrastructure. You can see the size of our terminals, more than 5 million cubic meters of storage capacity for fuels, 2 million plus, that's without considering biosaf, of storage capacity for sugar, 74 terminals over Brazil and Argentina, 11 ports, 71 airports. We have a huge transportation, the fleet that's not owned by Raízen, by our partners. That's the size of the company, and we developed a global reach. So this is quite unique. We use that. I give some examples. When I'm importing diesel, I'm using the same storage facility to export ethanol. So we can backhaul and improve the logistics. That's also quite unique for the footprint. On the next slide, you're going to see that what we have also is information. By being the largest company on the ethanol market globally, we have a lot of proprietary information. If you see the size of our ethanol market, we commercialize almost 4 times our own production. That's how attached we are with the end consumer. 100% of our production of ethanol, we deliver to the final client. We know what's happening on their consumption side. We know what's happening on the production side. So we are on the short, we have the short, we have the long. So this is quite unique side of information. We have on the sugar the same thing, on the power the same thing. On the right side here, you can see what that means in numbers. So we have been able to price our sugar better than the market. We have been able to price our ethanol much better than the market. And also you see that how we are translating our competitive advantage of the fuel sector compared to the market on EBIT. So this is a translation of how we are monetizing our unique ecosystem. We are an integrated company with a lot of information that we convert into good numbers, into good results, right? Talking about now the proximity. This is a very simple slide. I want to emphasize here our partner. We have selected the best possible partner to increase our proximity retail the strategy. What we have done here, we have decided to go really deep on this agenda. Why do I say that? We tested a new model, so we went into some regions in Brazil and we tested a new model that is, we are going to control our own supply chain. We are going to test the proximity outside of the gas station. The results that we had over the past 6 months was unbelievable. So this is supporting us that now it's time to speed the process of growth of the proximity stores. And we have the right partner. The FEMSA Group is one of the largest retail companies globally. They know how to handle logistics. They know how to handle operations. We do have a fantastic business plan already with more than 1,000. Today is more than 1,200 proximity stores, and we have the potential to go to 5,000 very quickly. So this is the proximity. And on top of that, we have the digital. I would like to share here the evolution of the Shell Box platform. This is unbelievable. The growth is exponential growth. In less than 2 years, we have more than multiplied by 10 the penetration of a Shell Box into our service station, and that's just the beginning. This is quite unique. You have access to 50 million customers every year. That means that 25%, almost 1/4 of the Brazilian population goes into our service station every year. And the Shell Box is a great platform to have access to this customer, to do cross-sell and upsell. Whenever there is a customer, they use the Shell box, we have a much better sales of V-Power sales improves. We have a better ticket, a higher volume, higher throughput, and loyalty from the customer. And this is growing exponentially. We are talking about more recent. Every month, we are beating the previous months, even in the pandemic. So this is growing exponentially. Can you imagine what we can do that with the proximity on the retail with OXXO brand on the streets, moving with this platform into Argentina? It's very easy now that we have built a platform to do that. So a lot of things will come from the Shell Box platform. This is already set up. It's a reality. It's moving, and the trend is really, really good. So we are going to start collecting the benefits of that pretty soon. Talking about our future now. The future of Raízen, if you see the history, of course, we moved from 3.7 million when we started the company in 2011 of EBITDA. We are going to deliver next year roughly around 10 billion. So that's an amazing growth. And that's just the beginning. Really, if you look what we have to do on renewable space with second generation ethanol, with biogas, there is a huge growth potential on the renewable side. We are going to increase efficiency. We have already, I showed last year on an agenda of efficiency on sugar and ethanol on the production side that we already delivered part of that this year. More is coming next year. Huge path to growth efficiency. Proximity, I said, is going to grow. We are going to expand our products value chain. Sugar, we are going to the final customer, and we are increasing the digital. 70% of the growth of Raízen for the next years will come from renewable products. It's amazing how we are transforming the company, and it's coming from renewables. So it's a very strong growth platform and really based on renewables. We have here the three competitive advantages that I like to talk about them briefly, separately. We have a very powerful culture. People ask me, what's Raízen? We were formed with taking the best of our shareholders. We took the Cosan entrepreneurship, the commercial savvy of Shell, very good on the commercial side, the efficiency of running a company like ExxonMobil. We combined that. We created a unique, powerful culture inside Raízen. We have, as I said, an integrated ecosystem. It's ours, proprietary, very unique. We are from soil to tank. We are fully integrated. And technology, that's something that we don't talk much, but E2G is a proprietary technology. Shell Box is a technology that we are using analytics. So all this technology inside Raízen. When you combine those three things, that's what I call Raízen model. It's very unique. It's irreplicable. No other company you can see out there have what we have. It's a very unique combination that creates what I call Raízen model, and that's for the future. And finally, just to finalize my presentation, that's the message that I want you to convey here today. We are truly today a global green champion. I don't see any other company that could match what we're doing. I'm very proud to be on. I tell to my employees every day, we are on the right place, on the right time, with the right company. And that's today. That's not for 15 years from now. We have a very strong financial and fantastic execution track record. If you see what we are recognized by everyone that what we promised, we deliver. And we are always with a very strong financial and very disciplined. You can see on the acquisition of Biosev how disciplined we were on taking that move and the strategic fit of that particular move. And we have, in the end, an unmatched growth pipeline. Amazing what I'm seeing the potential growth within the company. So I think the agenda of Raízen right now is growth. We are seeing the market going toward our direction. We have really evolved on the renewables agenda. We are on the right place, on the right time, with the right company. Thank you. Let's open now, Paula, to the Q&A from our guests here. I'm more than glad to answer the questions and talk to the public here. If someone wants to send questions, I'm more than glad to answer.
Okay, so let's start the Q&A session. As I said, we have two analysts invited. Isabella Simonato from Bank of America, Thiago Duarte from BTG. So Isa first, that's alphabetical order here in all the Q&As so that we don't have any issues. So Isa, your question first.
Much, Paula, Musa, and Luis for the invitation and congratulations on the presentation. I'll start exploring a little bit more about the renewables, right? It was interesting, Musa, you said about that 70% of the growth, right, should come from that. Can you explore a little bit more each of the segments? I mean, in terms of the biogas and the ethanol second generation, what is the potential of each of one of them throughout time?
No, perfect.
Just
yeah. If you take let's start with second generation ethanol. This is a product that we have no issue on the demand side. So it's a hot product today. So last year when we started this, the production or our season in April, we sold the entire production in less than 11 days. It was already sold, and today that's exactly happening the same thing. And the second generation, the potential of that is not only using inside Raízen, but we can export the technology because the technology is proprietary. We developed, we own the technology. So if you see, today we are discussing first to increase our own production so we can use that to produce more second generation ethanol in our own sites. We have a lot of that, even if you include now BioSav. But also, Isabella, we can export the technology. So we can go to countries, even if that country is closed for Brazilian ethanol, it's not closed for the technology. So we can charge royalties. So the growth will come first for additional plants. And of course, a very disciplined approach on our side. So we want to guarantee that we have the contracts in place to build the new plants. That's the strategy here. And that has been, I'm not saying easy, but it's going in a very good direction, getting very nice contracts, very long-term contracts. And the second phase is exporting the technology, exploring that in other places. And this, even our shareholder Shell is helping us to find a way of how we can do that. The question with E2G is that is unique from Raízen. We own the technology. We have the biomass and we own the technology. So this, for me, is a great potential growth. Biogas, it's a little bit different. Biogas, it's something that the technology is not, it's proprietary, but it's difficult to use the technology elsewhere. It's really focused on our park. Today for biogas, if we convert the biogas into electricity, then the market is easy. There is no question about the demand. You can convert into electricity. But the real goal here is to go after replacing diesel. And why that? Once you replace diesel, you reduce the carbon footprint from your entire, including second generation and first generation. So there is on top of, if we can replace diesel, you have a saving for biomethane, and also you have the advantage of reducing your carbon footprint and getting even better prices for the other products. So today the focus is let's go, the easiest part is to sell and convert the biogas into electricity. And we can do that in not only one plant. So that plant we tested. It was a huge success. The lagoon is working. The filter cake is working. So it's now the time to progress and start converting other plants. The real goal here is go after diesel and use that into our own fleet and reducing the more carbon footprint. So those two examples of growth in the renewables. There are also, that I didn't mention in my presentation, the power increase. So we are using a lot of our touch with the customer to increase our presence in the power segment, selling more electricity. We have WX, our trading. We started to move towards distributed generation. We have already several solar plants in place. So we are extracting value also from the power, but this is more on the early stages. Probably on the next meeting, I'm going to talk much more about power and development on the renewable space.
Thank you.
Okay, now Thiago.
Thank you, Paula. Hello, Musa. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Thiago.
Yeah, I wanted to touch base on one of the aspects of Raízen that I think has been the most challenging one, or one of the most challenging ones for us in order to estimate going forward, which is what we used to describe as the third Raízen, and now you are describing your presentation, Musa, as being the Raízen ecosystem, right? Which is unmatched. And I'm specifically talking about the opportunities when trading third-party products, right? So you guys are trading a far higher number of volumes of ethanol and sugar and energy and even other products than you guys produce. So my question, Musa, would be how you think the market should approach that specific business unit inside Raízen, or maybe in other words, is there like a benchmark or other companies that you guys use as a reference when you're building up your ecosystem, or whatever else you can provide us to help us understanding how much value that trading business can add to Raízen on top of the production and sale of your own products?
No, thank you, Thiago, thank you for the question. I don't like much the word trading, because when you see a lot of traders out there are companies that don't have assets, they don't have the physical flow. When we talk trade here, maybe the word that's why we like the word marketing services, because I'll give you the example on the ethanol side. Not many people know that, but when we produce our ethanol, we very few of that ethanol remains in Brazil. We export, and when we export that, Thiago, we do the logistics. We have tanks in Philippines, we have tanks in Colombia. We have very not commodity products. We are selling a service to our client that combines everything. When you have the volume and you are your own production, we can really have control of the value chain, and you can distinguish yourselves, and that creates a unique system. I don't like, we don't speculate. We don't do, okay, I'm betting that the price. No, we are really using our knowledge to know when's the best time to buy, when's the best time to sell, to create a system to our final client that is quite unique. So, of course, Thiago, we never gave too much openness to the market about this because it's proprietary. A lot of that information is confidential. So I always struggle a little bit to share what we do, how we do, because this is really proprietary to us. This, just to give you I don't know if there is good comparisons out there. I will never compare us to trading companies, because we have assets in place, we own the logistics, we are a producer. If you take, for instance, my relationship with Coca-Cola, it's because I'm a producer. I'm not a trading company that is going to buy. I can guarantee where my product is coming from, if there is a certificate, if my product has been built with all the renewables in place, with all the social part in place. I can guarantee the logistics. So that's the trading piece. And of course, when you have that organization, Thiago, it creates other opportunities. I give you the example today. I was talking to my team this morning about seeing what's happening right now on the consumption of ethanol in our pumps. And we know on the other side what's happening in our production of ethanol. Nonetheless, if you want to use my knowledge to hedge your position, and that service, that's why I like the word marketing service. But sorry, Zach, I don't have any comparables to help you on that. I think over time you need to dig in and see our average price above the market, how much value we are delivering to embed in the, because this is not, it is structural. It's not something that we take advantage when this year a lot of volatility, we're making more money. No, it's a structural marketing that we do. Hope I answer you, Thiago. Sorry, I didn't give you a clue how to make your calculations, but that's the best I can do right now.
Okay, so we have one question from the audience, is from Lucas from JP Morgan. So Musa, can you give us a little bit more detail on the initial rollout phase of OXXO in Brazil? Have you revised the store opening speed due to the pandemics? What's the situation? so on and so forth?
No, great question, Lucas. Thank you for the question. First, it was a building year for the Grupo Nós, for the retail of proximity. I think that what I can share right now is that the results that we are getting per store are much better than we anticipated. So there is a proof of concept that we had at the beginning, and it worked. It worked beautifully, even during the pandemic. So we didn't change the pace of growth. So we are speeding up. We selected the city of Campinas. That was the testing place for Grupo, for the OXXO, and it was really fantastic. So right now I'm pushing hard the team to speed up the process. Of course, the pandemic, we took a hit on the sales, especially more on the service stations, because that's where it's a different type of, when you reduce the amount of people going to service stations, you reduce the sales. But on stores, on the same stores, the new profile of the select stores that we put in place last year was really unbelievable, and it's moving towards on the right direction. On OXXO alone in Campinas, the proof of concept was really good. Now it's time to push the turbocharge button and move ahead. So we are very enthusiastic about the future of that. So it's in good shape.
Okay, so thank you, Musa. Our next presentation is Compass, Gás&Energia. And I would like to invite Nelson Gomes, Compass CEO. And Nelson will update us, as Luis said, about that company that aims at transforming the Brazilian gas and power industry. Nelson, over to you.
Thank you, Paula. Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here with you once again, and for the second time now, talking about Compass. What I want in this presentation with you today is first to go through our view on why natural gas is important and strategic to Brazil. Second, I want to provide you a market fundamentals update that will reinforce our investment thesis. And third, I want to share with you what we've been doing at Compass. So let's go to the first slide of the presentation and explore a little bit more why we believe natural gas will continue to grow. In our view, natural gas in Brazil is not only a transition fuel, it's also a strategic source of a diverse energy matrix. Natural gas will enable both renewables growth and economic development in our country. So let me highlight 3 different ways we see contributions from natural gas. Starting from the left-hand side, Brazilian power system is growing and will continue to grow, with an increasing share of different renewable sources, and combined with a limitation on the hydropower generation side, as you can see in the chart, that will keep adding more and more intermittence and seasonality to our matrix. As a consequence of all of that, the gas-fired generation should play a strategic role balancing the power system. Natural gas will offer at the same time stable, competitive, and flexible energy, one of those sources that can be easily dispatched to supply any peak demand. Second, on the middle of the slide, you can see natural gas has the lowest carbon footprint among fossil fuels. Over time, it has been replacing other fuels by different customers, used by different customers, and reducing CO2 emissions. Looking at natural gas for power generation, the EPE, Brazil's energy planning entity, estimates an additional 8 gigawatts of capacity to be run with natural gas in the next decade or so, most of them replacing other fossil fuels. Finally, we believe gas resources in Brazil can foster economic development. If we simply look at the amount of gas reinjected in production fields last year, it represents 1.5 times the total gas distributed in Brazil. Or other way to look at it, it represents roughly the power capacity of one Itaipu, the world's second largest hydroelectric plant. Gas production is growing, reinjection is set to grow even further. So, if infrastructure is not available and demand is not developed, that will continue. So now that we understand why natural gas will grow in Brazil, let's talk about market dynamics on the next slide. So let me recap you what I have shared with you last year as an outlook for a natural gas in Brazil. It's abundant supply, both globally and locally, and a number of initiatives toward the gas market opening. Dynamics keep evolving, and I can share with you a few examples. On the implementation of TCC by Petrobras, what we've seen, agreements for natural gas offloading and processing from pre-salt. We've seen Brazil-Bolivia pipeline capacity relief through a public tender, which will now allow volumes to be procured directly from Bolivia to the free market in Brazil. We've seen divestments on the gas transportation companies. And finally, we've seen the divestment process in Gaspetro. On the regulatory front, we continue to discuss the new gas bill, or Projeto de Lei do Gás, which was set by the government as a priority for this year. There are also a number of other initiatives. If you look at state by state, trying to develop the free market with different actions with different regulatory agencies. Now, in the market activities, we've seen local distribution companies, both on the northeast of the country and the south area of Brazil, tendering for natural gas. We've seen private players being approved both to import and commercialize natural gas in Brazil. And finally, we've seen an entry of new players in the gas and power sector in our country. So all of that to say, our view on the development opportunities in the Brazilian gas segment seems to be well supported by everything that is happening in a number of different fronts. And although we recognize that any market open is not a linear or a smooth process, as we can always have learnings throughout the way, the direction from my standpoint is very clear, and Compass is well positioned to help make it happen. We believe we can create and share value through a unique business model, which I will cover in the next slide. So turning to the next slide, this is how our business model works. It's an integrated platform of assets represented in red and contractual positions represented in white. We have started in the southeast area of Brazil at the center of natural gas supply and demand. It is a hub for existing and future gas infrastructure with demand opportunities in all segments. On the supply side in the left, we look for different sources and volume flexibility using existing infrastructure, but also developing new when and where we need it. Locally in Brazil, our model includes procuring gas from domestic producers to be offloaded, processed, and transported using existing infrastructure. But in the future, Route 4 should also help to unlock even more domestic production. There is also an opportunity to procure gas from Bolivia, also using existing capacity, the Brazilian-Bolivian pipeline. LNG, it's also key to our portfolio, not only in terms of access to competitive molecules from outside the country, but also for the flexibility and optionality that our terminal will offer to our customers across the country. On the demand, on the right-hand side, the key here is customer access, behavioral knowledge, and trust. All of that built over time. We created our gas marketing business to develop the free market, to access local distribution companies, and also to access gas-fired power plants. So when we look at the developing or acquiring assets on this platform, what we want is the opportunity to promote the demand growth, access competitive molecules, and add both flexibility and optionality to our portfolio. And in line with our capital allocation, it's a tradition already inside the group, the discipline that we have. Each one of these projects, they all need to generate their standalone returns. So this is the model that we have built around our own intelligence and expertise inside companies, connecting supply and an increasing demand, driving market transformation in our region, in Southeast region, and across the country. Now let me go through the different business lines within Compass and share with you some more updates on each one of them. So this slide shows you the 4 business segments in Compass we have. Distribution, gas marketing, power generation, and infrastructure. Now we'll go to one by one. So next, on the distribution business line, we are looking for a geographic growth in a way that we want to replicate what we have done in Comgás, increasing the customer use and access to natural gas. As we already made public in a material fact recently, we are in the binding and exclusive phase of Gaspetro divestment process. We are as of now negotiating the sales and purchase agreement with Petrobras, the SPA. And if we are successful in doing that, we expect to submit this deal to the authorities in the next coming months. If that all works, the financial close of that deal should happen sometime, I would say, first half of next year. Now, next slide. Let me give you some more details in Comgás. This is an asset that you already know for quite some time now. Comgás keep performing very well over time. Safety in our operations continue to be a top priority. And even in a pandemic year that we faced last year, we're still facing now, we have managed to add new protocols to our day-to-day activities and keep our standards at the highest levels. As disclosed earlier this year, when we published the last fourth quarter results, the results were very strong, and we are now dedicating focus on efficiency and customer experience, taking advantage on everything we learned from last year. And as the market grows, we are accelerating our digital journey to improve the way we interact with our customers, to enhance their experience and also to keep improving our internal efficiency. Now, supported by the current regulatory plan, we'll keep growing. Comgás will keep growing. What we will see in the coming years is exactly what we have already seen in the past ones. To give you one example, last year we connected more than 120,000 new customers to a very strong pipeline built around market intelligence, and using that, we'll keep pushing for more growth. And just to add one more example here, last year we connected 20 new buildings every week. So this is Comgás, a strong growth potential, a successful model that can be used and can be replicated elsewhere as we plan our expansion into other distribution companies. Now, next slide. Back to our business lines. In our gas marketing business line, we are developing a strong portfolio of gas supply options in one side and customer relationship in the other side, always looking for opportunities to integrate both gas and power markets. On the demand side, we are first in advanced negotiations with a number of potential natural gas-free customers, helping them to understand the free market, and second, participating in the tenders to supply LDCs, local distribution companies in Brazil, including Comgás. Now, on the gas supply side, we continue to negotiate with different producers in Brazil and Bolivia to secure volumes this year and the next one. And I'll talk more about LNG in a few minutes. As for power market and trading, our focus is on long-term deals and long-term relationships. Specifically on power trading, the team now is working to maximize value by taking positions within established mandate and at the same time to support the build-up of our go-to-market strategy. Power generation, as we believe, it is a way to anchor demand and create optionality between gas and power. Compass is assessing different opportunities with different partners, taking into account the different profiles, different projects in terms of location, infrastructure availability, and gas supply alternatives. But we believe we'll be ready to participate on the next auction. Now, for the infrastructure segment, I have no major updates on Route 4. We continue to invest on the licensing process of Route 4. This is still an asset that we consider strategic to unlock additional volume or additional gas production volume from the pre-salt reserves in the future. So now let's focus on the LNG terminal on the next slide. Our LNG regas terminal in São Paulo, as you know, is located right next to the demand center, offering our customers another alternative, another source of competitive, flexible natural gas supply with an access to the LNG global market. So it's going to be the first link Brazil will have with the international LNG global market. This terminal will be the first in Brazil to deliver that, and we believe it can both accelerate the free market ramp up here in Brazil, and over time can also serve as a strategic buffer to balance domestic production and local demand. So where are we on the terminal? Terminal is now fully licensed and ready to start construction. We expected the terminal to be ready by the end of next year. We are now discussing the final agreements on the construction side and on the operational side. And on the supply side, the gas marketing team is concluding now the negotiations with Total Gas and Power, which will be our LNG supply. The deal with Total will be comprised of fixed and floating volumes with different indexing options in terms of price. This will be a major milestone for Compass. We will add flexibility and optionality to our supply portfolio. Now, on the next slide, worth to mention always, to develop all this portfolio, the most important asset we have, it's our people. In the last few years and months, we have put together a first-class team with a combination of talented people developed in Comgás, and we brought other stars from Cosan and from the market with a culture that puts together at the same time a strong performance and entrepreneurial attitude. I can tell you that our team now has a track record in all segments: distribution, gas and power sales and procurement, power gen, and infrastructure. All of that, I can say, with a particular culture and mindset. We call it a beyond utility mindset, which means it's a customer focus and a partnership oriented mindset. Now, next slide. This is what we believe it's our unique and balanced portfolio. As you may remember, our journey into the gas business started back then in 2012 when we acquired Comgás. Comgás is a great asset. It's run by a great team, and that almost doubled its results since the acquisition by Cosan. At the same time, we were increasing our stake in Comgás, and we did that in the past years. We also started position ourselves in other parts of the natural gas value chain, in a belief that the gas market would evolve and that we could be a leading player on that transformation. This figure on the left illustrates our value creation journey for Compass, with the various building blocks that we are developing or adding to our portfolio. Comgás, as you know, will keep playing a relevant role, generating cash and yield, expanding its network, and serving as a role model for other gas companies we may acquire in the future. By replicating what we've done in Comgás, we can provide customers with affordable, competitive energy, replacing other fossil fuels and increasing demand. And as you know, natural gas can also be developed, the demand on natural gas can also be developed through the power generation projects, which in turn can become an interesting opportunity to integrate gas and power businesses. Infrastructure like the LNG terminal we just talked about, and later on the Route 4 pipeline, will also allow customer access to competitive and flexible molecules. And finally, a gas marketing platform that will leverage our strong customer relationships and at the same time manage optionality and flexibility in both supply and demand sides. All in all, this is what I believe how our portfolio is expected to look like. It's a balanced portfolio in terms of risk-return profile and an ambitious portfolio in terms of value creation opportunities. Finally, this is my usual last slide to recap the key messages I just covered in this presentation. And first, our belief. Natural gas has a strategic role to enable energy transition in Brazil and foster the infrastructure and the economic development. There is now a great opportunity in terms of abundance of gas and a wide view on the benefits of the gas marketing open. This will promote more competitive and a cleaner energy growth in Brazil. Our business model was carefully designed to lead the gas and power market transformation with a balanced portfolio that combine yield and growth. So those are the slides I wanted to share with you today. Let me now leave you with the Compass video, which will demonstrate our purpose and our commitments to the energy market. And I'll be back with you for the Q&A session. Thank you.
Brazil, a country with a huge growth potential. The power of our industries, the strength of our agribusiness, and the work of millions of people driving the economy. But have you ever thought about how much energy it requires? To continue this journey, Brazil needs to create alternatives to evolve its energy matrix. Economic development requires stable energy running every single day of the year. More reliable energy with lower emissions. The best solution lies on one of the country's most abundant resources, natural gas, which will double its production by 2030. Compass Gás&Energia's goal is to increase the participation of natural gas in Brazil's energy matrix by offering more energy with less emissions, by replacing more polluting fuels in industries, transportation, and society, ensuring stability and safety to the electric grid, and therefore supporting the growth of renewable sources, developing Brazil's infrastructure, promoting more access to the global gas market through LNG terminals, leading the implementation of Rota 4 to bring more gas from the pre-salt fields, and investing in distribution networks to increase the access to natural gas across the country. Always caring for people and society, stimulating people development, and promoting a fair and diverse society, creating value for local communities, and continuing to ensure that safety is our first priority. Transformation is only the beginning. With the opening of the market, Brazil will experience greater competitiveness regarding natural gas costs and a transition to a cleaner and safer energy matrix. We can see gas and power alternatives that create value for our customers and society with safety, efficiency, and engaged people. Compass is committed to a sustainable future, supporting the energy transition and promoting economic development in Brazil.
Okay, so let's move to the Q&A session. Before we do that, let me thank you, Isa and Tiago, from the previous Q&A, which I forgot. And also, let me let you know that all the presentations, both in Portuguese and in English, are available in our website. So for the Compass Q&A, we'll have Antonio Junqueira from Citibank and Gabriel Francisco from XP. And first question, we start with Antonio.
Well, thanks, Paula. Thanks, Nelson. Good to see you all. I want to make a question, actually some questions about Gaspetro. You've already mentioned you're about to sign the SPA, and you already gave an educated guess on the timing, so you already took some of my questions. So the remaining questions for Gaspetro would be if you anticipate any risks of the new management of Petrobras on the asset sale program, and specifically on the Gaspetro transaction. Also, any update on Mitsui's perspective in regards to the asset? And the third one would be if the company is preparing the offer in a way that it might please the antitrust department, or if the company will just go with a formal offer to buy all the stake without divesting from any asset, and will, as a consequence, wait for any perspective of the antitrust department. Last but not least, the company has been doing a great job on Comgás. Management is great. And how do you expect to replicate that expertise from Comgás management into Gaspetro, considering that you have multiple partners in Gaspetro, right? That's it. I know four questions on the same asset. Thank you.
Was a long list of questions, but thank you. That will give me the opportunity to talk more and explore more about Gaspetro. As I said, we are at the exclusivity phase with Petrobras, and we are negotiating the SPA. We've been doing that for a long time now. And answering your first question, from what we've seen so far from Petrobras, we haven't seen any pushback on divestments on their side. Let's remember ourselves that this divestment program is something that it was sponsored by the antitrust authorities, by the National Petroleum Agency, and also by Petrobras itself. So I don't believe that a changing management would do any change on that program long term. Okay. On the Mitsui side, what we've seen so far, they are of course interested in knowing how we manage our business, how we manage our assets. Mitsui is already engaged with us. We are about to start a more formal discussion on what we are planning to do if we succeed in having a deal and plan the day one after we close the deal. So Mitsui, it's already engaged. Talking about the antitrust authorities, your third question, we already have from the TCC, from the agreement that Petrobras made with the antitrust authorities and the National Petroleum Agency, we already received from CADE a clearance. So we were okay to proceed given the roles embedded in the TCC. Now, the operation itself, CADE will evaluate when the time comes. So we'll sign the agreement and then we'll submit to the authorities. And then the authorities, the CADE, will have their time to analyze and give it back their clearance or not, which we expect will be granted. The clearance will be granted by the way we have been managed the business and the way we build Compass. Your last question on how to replicate, I think Comgás has been successful on delivering above the average performance from last year's. So if you look at our track record, it's a recognized track record by the market. So I don't anticipate any pushbacks from any of the other partners of this Gaspetro shareholding structure, not letting us do what we believe we can do above the average. So we will use our knowledge, our culture, our way of doing things, and especially our scale to negotiate, for example, with service providers, with suppliers. So this is the way I believe we can improve the operational side of those other distribution companies in Gaspetro.
Clear. Thanks.
Okay. So, Gabriel?
Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Nelson. Nice to see you. Hope you're all safe. I have more than one question, but I'll stick to two. I would like you, Nelson, to explain further what would be the potential unlocked by the upcoming, hopefully upcoming approval of the new natural gas law in the Brazilian market. And the second one is related to that. what are the low-hanging fruits in terms of new types of customers that Compass, especially regarding gas marketing, that Compass is targeting? Which kind of customers, for example, Brazil vis-a-vis other countries is not reaching today, and what would be the blue sky scenario and a more, let's say, other stages scenario for targeting these customers? Those are my questions. Thank you.
Hi, Gabriel. Thank you for your questions. The first one, the potential, what this new gas law can unlock market potential. The way I see it, the new gas law, it's in the right direction to promote a market opening. From my view, it's not perfect. We cannot expect to have one market opening that is currently a monopoly and we build a law that will, in all at once, deliver all the answers we want. So I don't believe this law is going to be perfect, and we need to see that law in place for a couple of years until we feel that we need any adjustment. But all in all, I believe it's in the right direction to open the market, and it will unlock potential. It is already unlocking some potential. We already seen Petrobras opening some space in the Brazil-Bolivian pipeline, for example. And this is already promoted by all this movement that the government is doing, and Petrobras agree with that in opening the market. Now, on your second question on low-hanging fruits, as you may know, for example, in São Paulo, in Rio it's exactly the same case, but to talk more about São Paulo. In São Paulo, we have the free customers regulation well-defined since 2012. And these customers, they never had the opportunity to buy natural gas from different sources, not because of Comgás, but because we were living in a monopoly. The only option that they have to acquire molecules of natural gas was Petrobras. So this is ready to happen now when Petrobras started to de-verticalize of all the chain of natural gas. So customers now, the big ones, already defined on the regulation in São Paulo and many other states in Brazil, they are now ready to acquire natural gas from other sources. And this is, when I mentioned in my presentation, this is where different companies, international companies, local companies, are now authorized by government, by the federal government and the state government to commercialize natural gas in São Paulo. So the low-hanging fruit, straight to your questions, the biggest high consumption customers in São Paulo, in the Southwest region. So those are the main targets for the market opening on our view, on a Compass view.
Okay, so right on time. Let me thank you, Antonio and Gabriel. And let me take the opportunity now, and Nelson as well, I'm sorry. And let me take the opportunity to invite Felipe Afonso Ferreira, Moove CEO. So Moove is our Brazilian multinational, and I'll pass the word to Felipe to tell you the story.
We are Moove. We are proud to make the world move. We were born a short while ago, already wanting to be a global reference in lubricant production, sales, and distribution, the result of an intense and transforming journey. At the very end of 2016, Cosan Lubricants was renamed Moove. It gained a unique brand. Thus, we needed to develop its identity. In the following year, we started an organized process of structural changes within the company. We redefined the organizational structure, the processes, the roles and responsibilities. We created a robust governance. And all of this started with the definition of our vision. We decided we wanted to be a global reference in lubricant production, sales, and distribution. We knew we could get there by focusing on high-performance teams, a culture of efficiency, and by promoting expansion of our businesses. But above all, by having the right attitudes. We movers are team players. Keep an open mind, talk straight, always uphold safety in all its various dimensions, and think big, but keep things simple. This vision has become our roadmap to expand Moove across the globe. In 2019, we consolidated acquisitions, disseminated our culture globally, and defined our business transformation initiatives, which today are the cornerstone of our future development. And this is how we have coherently showcased exceptional and consistent growth year after year. We are far from stopping, and we know that it is our way of being and doing that will take us further and further. We are movers. Evolution is our roadmap. We are Moove, and our lubricants have this formula.
Hello there. Yes, last few years we have worked very hard on building structure, strategy, and culture. We build them while simultaneously executing on it. We have created high-performance teams, an efficiency culture, while at the same time expanding our business. Today, this is the thing we're most proud of. We know where we want to get to. We know how we are going to achieve it. Actually, this is probably our biggest asset. No? Our teams have a shared ambition, and our teams are aligned on the priorities and objectives that will lead us there. During 2020, we have decided to intentionally make ESG, diversity and inclusion, as part of our culture. 2 or 3 years ago, spontaneously, a group of movers created a diversity committee. We have just recently, during this year, made it an integral part of our business. We gave it even a new name, which reflects the power of diversity. We gave them a budget. We aligned with leadership. And we started a program which will begin focusing on education and awareness. As far as ESG, during this year, last year, we have better organized our initiatives. We went deeper with assessment and planning how to integrate such actions into our culture. We will be more intentional. We will be more assertive. We'll be more consistent in our initiatives. Up to now, we have chose our priorities, and we are now developing programs for the long run. We have chose to work on residues management, waste management, emissions, water and energy, health and safety, and people and culture development. It's very exciting. There is a lot of engagement of our movers into incorporating into our culture, plurality, and ESG. Next slide, please. We're now established with presence in sizable markets of great volumes. We have, over 1,100 movers across the world, which share an ambition, that share culture. We expect to capture a lot of value by replicating our business model across our different geographies. No? Next slide, please. Another pillar of our culture, on top of our vision, our strategic priorities, are Moove attitudes. Moove attitudes is something that is in your third year. It establishes the trust environment necessary for the collaboration that we need to be able to capitalize the collective intelligence of the business for the best for the business. No? So collaboration and integration are a big reality among movers right now. We start together. We involve naturally all the intelligence of the business on all topics, all hot topics of the company. We leverage our strengths, enabling constant improvement, constant evolutions on everything that we do. 2020 put that culture to test. We started the year very proud of where we were at the end of 2019. We had the January, February, pretty good months as far as our sales and results. And then in March, we were attacked. Cosan as a whole was attacked by hackers. No, that made us go back to handle the business manually. No, and I think we were able to deal with this in a way that we couldn't even imagine. So we ended up the first quarter. Please go back. We ended up the first quarter with lower than we thought. Then it came COVID, literally a global problem for all of our business. We focused immediately on protecting the people, lots of communication in that unique moment. We were very close to everyone. Military focus on protecting our plants. Their home office there would be no good. We have a very complex portfolio of products, even today, out of 1,100 people that we have, we only have 6, 7 out of work because of COVID. We were very close to all our stakeholders, all of the time, customers, distributors, partners, suppliers. We made sure all network was healthier possible because it was a unique moment that people didn't know where was the light to continue. No? So we made a lot of very courageous decisions during this process. No? Next slide, please. Power of teamwork, the care for the people, the assertive decisions we made in the commercial side, looking at the whole value chain, on the supply side, deciding on ROS on a very uncertain moment, protecting the currency, cash management, spend control, all of those, a lot of improvement on our business structures, on management, on processes. They were fundamental for the great second semester we had. On the second semester, we were above almost 20% in both quarters in sales in relation to the prior year. So we ended the year with stellar performance comparing to what we were seeing when we were at the end of first quarter and so on. Next slide, please. So we continue our journey of really exceeding our results every year. Right now, we already have almost 50% of our revenues in hard currency. It runs, and the mentality of continuous improvement and the mentality that there's always space to improve runs across all of our people. And that's why we were able to unlock value in this very difficult year that we had. If I go to next slide, please. But actually, what really moves us is not, rather than what we have achieved so far, we're excited with what's possible. So, next slide, please. The execution excellence of our strategy has enabled us to, it was enabled because we have designed a very good culture for our business. Everything, we believe we can continue to multiply rapidly our results by bigger moves in our territories, We see the U.S. and Europe as a campground for us to bring our good thing. We have already evolved a lot the participation of such regions into our results. The reality is everything in our business was specifically designed for lubes. We have processes, systems, tools that support all of our business, and they are molded and deployed along all of our businesses, taking in light the maturity of each one of the business. We have great partnerships, suppliers and customers, and an organization design which is lean and very efficient that allows global governance with regional execution freedom. So right now we see our possibilities going forward even higher, because we have a track record that gives us the confidence that we can continue to evolve. And then coming to an end, next slide, please. We are actually very happy. We have today a unified culture focused on the best of people, focused on the best performance. We're growing fast and consistently our results, and we see an expansion room to continue to exponentiate our results. Thank you very much, and to you, Paula.
Okay, so for the Moove Q&A session, we invite Rodrigo Almeida from Santander. So, Rodrigo, to your questions.
Thank you, Paula. Hi, Felipe, and all. First of all, congratulations on the such strong growth at Moove. It's been an impressive one. I have a few questions, but I'll focus on additional growth. I think today Moove is present in very large and important global lubricant market, and is well exposed to South America, Europe, and the US. But when we think about international expansion or further expansion, are there any additional regions that you could be considering for Moove? Maybe, I don't know, Asia or Africa, for example. Is there any consideration on that side? And a little bit on that as well. What do you believe to be the largest or the biggest challenges in replicating what we already have implemented into these new markets? And then, if I may add just one quick point, are there any additional synergies that you can still extract from the recent expansions that you have made, the recent ones that you mentioned in 2019, 2020?
Good, Rodrigo. Thank you for your question. Look, we back there when we decided our strategy, we chose Americas and Europe as our playground. Okay, and we chose that consciously because they're huge markets. Americas and Europe, they're huge markets. It is what we can handle right now, culturally wise. They are markets that we understand. And we are learning more and more as we mature on those markets. And there is lots of space. Lubricants. It's a segment of business that requires a lot of specificities. It has been there isn't that much investment on those markets. So until we see exhaustion on that region, we will stick to this. It's a choice, a strategic choice that we think it makes sense, because it's all about the lubricants business is a very complex business with different lines of businesses. You have passenger vehicles, commercial vehicles, industrial segment. They all have their own peculiarities. They all have their own market dynamics. There are specialties, and they do not compete among them. So there is a lot of intelligence you need to develop on each one of those. So it's all about people and processes. It's about improving your processes all of the time. Supply, manufacturing, logistics, integration in a big time. Route to market is fundamental. So there's so much investment and sophistication that you can do in all of that in a Lubes business that that's why we see we continue to improve year by year, because with the integration of the people and collaboration, and we're open to improve all of the time. No? So I think that answering your, if we're going out of another region, I think the simple answer is we will continue to focus on Americas and Europe, because we see a lot of space to evolve there. Then as far as synergy, we started, let's say, our Brazilian multinational, very slim, very lean. We were evolving as corporate pieces that play for the whole in a very lean way. We want the best of a global governance with regional freedom to act. So we don't want to replicate intelligence everywhere. We have centers of intelligence here, but are very key things. So we will continue to. I think synergy as we grow, it's happening naturally, because a lot of the things we need to create, or the process sophistication, the investment on process, investment on assets, happens as we move into those markets. No?
Okay, so let me thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you, Felipe. Next presentation now is Rumo. So João Alberto Abreu, Rumo CEO, will take you through that company that provides cleaner and competitive logistics across this continental country named Brazil. So Beto, over to you. Sorry, I think Beto's on mute. 1 second. Not yet. Va, shall we start with Rumo's video while we bring Beto's audio back?
2020 is behind us. In a year no one will soon forget, Rumo, despite all challenges, doubled down on its strategy and paved the way for solid growth. We made strides with the regulatory agenda. We expanded our operational capacity. We wrapped up investments in the Central Railroad network, connecting the states of Goiás and Tocantins to the port of Santos. We prepared our balance sheet to best implement our future investment plan. Our organizational structure was strengthened in key areas, and we made significant progress in our ESG agenda. We reduced CO2 emissions by approximately 10%. We surpassed the American Class 1 railroad level for personal safety. And as for diversity, we couldn't be prouder of our accomplishments. In 2020, we reinvented ourselves, and we remain strongly committed to powering and building Brazil's future.
So, Paul, I think it's working now.
So we are reconnecting Beto, so if you could bear with us for a second.
Good morning, everyone.
Beto, can you
Yeah,
test?
I'm here. Thank you, Paula. I'm here. Can you put the presentation? May we start? Okay, thank you very much. I think everyone is...
Beto?
Yeah, I think everyone is listening. Thank you, Paula. I will cover the presentation, okay? So we saw the video regarding 2020. It was a short summary of what we have delivered, all the projects. Our volume growing financial results was, I would say, below what we expected, but it was a transformational year. Taking into account everything that we have delivered, all the projects, absolutely key to carry out our strategy on the long term. So looking forward, what we have are those 4 levers as part of our strategy, which is efficiency, customers, growth, and ESG. Let's start with efficiency. Efficiency, I have to say, is the heart of our strategy, since that brings costs down, but also capacity growth. So in the last 5 years, our unit, let's say, costs dropped more than 30%. And what we are saying here is that this trend should continue over the coming years. This is a strong potential to dilute our cost and increase even more our competitiveness, which is key to increase our volume in the process. Capacity is also very important here for us, and efficiency also brings capacity. We know how many CapEx we allocate in this business in many projects, but technology and efficiency also is playing a key role in the capacity increase in our system. I will not cover the details of many projects that you already know very well, like the 120 rail cars trains, which is already running, is already part of our operation since last month. You know very well also the projects related to the trip optimizer, but there's many technology being implemented together with the allocation of capital in our business that is bringing a lot of capacity to the system. Let me share a good example which is being implemented and it will be ready in the next couple of months, which is the new communication system. It's the way that we will communicate the fuel in the operational centers starting next month. So it's a new platform where we are moving for a much more faster way using satellites, but also safer, that will bring a lot of agility and a lot of speed to the system. Those kind of initiatives, which it's related to technology, it's those things that also bring a lot of capacity beside all the investment that we are implementing in our business. In the next slide, we will talk about customer and also about the new structure that we are putting together in the business. So however, efficiency gains and greater capacity are only a part of what we intend to offer to the market. So we changed completely the commercial organization with a new group of people, a new leader, and the idea here is really offer an unbeatable value proposition across all segments and markets that we decide to operate. And this is understanding the whole value chain. And let me give you another example, which is in Rondonópolis, the terminal that you know very well. So last year, each truck that used to get into this terminal used to spend 6 hours to deload. So 6 hours to get in and to get out. So in the first 2 months of 2021, we are already operating with 4 hours of time for those same truck drivers to get in and to get out of the terminals. So this kind of offer, understanding the whole value chain, is also part of our proposition to offer to the customer. So we know that all these things which is part of our value propositions are key, but which is very relevant also for the customer is our level of competitiveness. And in the next slide, we will talk about how we are seeing the competitiveness of our solution regarding the market and the kind of environment that we're facing today. So let me go to the next slide. So you all know that there are many things that change with the environment and the level of competitiveness that we operate in the business. We know the things that can impact this, which is the balance of supply and demand. You know how fuel price also influence on that. And but what I have to say here, and what is two messages for me are key here. One is that the level of competitiveness in the environment that we are facing in 2021, it's fair to say that it's better than the one that we saw last year. And for me, the main message here is that we want to be competitive all the time. So Rumo has a solution that can be and can offer the most competitive solution in mostly all areas that we operate. So I think that's the two messages here that I'd like to share with you. One is regarding the environment, which is better, but how do we see this in the future? And in the next slide, what we would like to share with you is efficiency. It will help, of course, to dilute our cost and grow capacity. We also just mentioned that we are very focused on having a very strong value proposition for every segment that we operate. But I think it's fair to say that our solution is not only the most competitive one, but it also the greener one. And what we are showing here in this slide, since we know that 80% of Brazilian export goes to Asia and to the Middle East, what we are saying is that when we compare our solution of, for instance, grains moving from Mato Grosso to its destiny in Asia or in Middle West, the footprint is much lower than the other solution that we have for Mato Grosso, in the case, the terminals in the north of the country. So it's interesting that we can offer, yes, the most competitive solution, but also the one with lower emission. And what we are trying to do here, it's not only measure our emission, but start measuring the whole value chain's emission, because we know that that matters for our customer. So in the end of the day, competitiveness in pricing, service, customer, everything that we are talking about, and also a greener solution is the whole thing, which is part of a robust value proposition to our customer. So that's what we are doing in this chapter of customer. But I think a very important thing to analyze this, to analyze now, it's what about the market? We will see this in the next slide. So efficient will help, the growth capacity will help, strong value proposition, but how do we see the market in the next coming years? So this is the total, let's say, global trade for 2020, and how do we see this in the next coming years? And this is the number for the next 10 years. That's for the market. And in the map, we will see that Brazil is today the leader in terms of the country that has the biggest participation in the trade in global grains. Interesting to look back. Let's go back for 10 years ago and see how was the numbers. By 2010, the global trading grains was around 200 million tons. And Brazil was participating with less than 20% in this trading process. So what we saw since then was a market that grew more than 50%, and Brazil taking, let's say, the leadership in this process. And the question is how the Brazilian participation will be in the next 10 years. So this is what we are looking for, and also how we will participate in this market that grows so much with our capacity, and also participate in different geographies, as we will see in the next slides. So we have a strong market to participate. So that's the area of Rumo influence in 2020, a market of around 100 million tons. We know that the geographies that we are current participation are growing, but we already have now the new market that's part of our portfolio, which is Goiás and Tocantins, which will bring additional, like say, opportunities. But many things have been, we have delivered many things last year to enable and to prepare the organization to face all these opportunities. I think the first one was the expansion of our terminal in Rondonópolis, the renewal of Paulista network, which will also increase our capacity, delivering the central network operation before what we have agreed with the government, and also all the improvement that we have been implementing in the Port of Santos. That's why I keep saying that we are starting 2021 much better than we started 2020 in terms of preparation to face all the opportunities that the marketing is offering for us. So in this next slide, as part of this new market that we start to operate, we will see here the capacity that Rumo will have in the next coming years. So as you know, we started already with São Simão. Rio Verde will be ready this year, and there's many opportunities also coming in the next year. I have to say that this operation is already part of Rumo's legacy in this market. It has implemented very fast, and there's many products to be carried in our operation in the next coming years. So we are talking not only about grains, but also fertilizer. We have the container business, steel, sugar, and even iron ore is part of the products that we can transport in the next coming years. So a lot of opportunities in this great growth area that we just start to operate. We usually talk a lot about grains, as we know, fertilizer, but we cannot forget the huge potential that we have also in other products, in other cargos. So it's part of the diversification in our business. If we take into account only those four categories, which fertilizer, sugar, pulp and fuels, we are talking about a volume that's part of our influence area of more than 30 million tons that Rumo can keep working to increase its volume. So a lot of opportunity as well on other products, not only in grains. And in the next slide, talking also about diversification, let me share also the container business, which, as you know, has been growing very fast. And this is, I would say, our container operation that we use the brand Brado. Is a huge avenue for growth. You're going to hear a lot about this company. And I have to say that this brand will be ranked among Brazil's top of mind brands over the next 5 years. A lot of things will happen with this business, and we have to pay a lot of attention to this segment in our operation. And then we have ESG, which is also part of our strategy. Here, Rumo have to consider that a lot of things will be implemented. This is our agenda. This is the initiative that we are putting in place. I would highlight here that besides safety, what we are bringing also to our company compensation starting now in 2021 is the ESG agenda. So there's a basket of initiatives that we will also be considering in our compensation program from 2021. So in the next slide, just to finalize, it's the summary of what we just presented. So Rumo is the green and lower cost connection between production and consumption. So we saw this during the presentation, and this is being delivered through operational efficiency to boost competitiveness, real focus on our customer, market growth enabled by expanded footprint, as we also saw on the new geography that we are entering now, and ESG as a competitive advantage for our business, which will guarantee the business in the long term, and we also bring profitability for our operation. So thank you very much. Sorry for the missing the connection at the beginning, and I'll be ready here for the questions.
Okay, so again, sorry for the connection. We should have lightened a candle to the technology god here, our bad. Beto, we'll invite now three sell-side analysts. We have Josh Millman from Morgan Stanley, we have Victor Mizuzaki from Bradesco, and then Andrea Shane from Itaú. So Josh, you may start. Again, we can't hear Josh. Okay, let's move to Victor, and then we come back to Josh once we reestablish the connection.
Thank you, Paula and Beto. Beto, Rumo is investing like 6 billion reais in Malha Paulista to double their capacity to like 70 million tons per year. So I'd like to know if you could share your thoughts on what Rumo is doing to make sure that first, there be grains or let's say demand for this capacity increase. And number two, if you think about like 5 to 10 years ahead, what will happen with yields or freight price? Can we say that they will remain accretive?
Thank you very much, Victor, for a question. It's a key project for us, mainly in the next 5-6 years. As you know, the current capacity of this rail, it's 35 million tons. Actually was built a century ago to transport coffee. So a lot of things have to be done to face all the opportunities that we have in the Brazilian market. So we know that, for instance, Mato Grosso is exporting around 50 million tons per year. So Brazil should have another record harvest next year. And this is a trend. That's how Brazil is operating. I think a good question is, how will be our participation in the global trading grounds in the next 10 years? So you saw that we moved from 19 to 37 in 10 years' time. So how will be the Brazilian position in the next 10 years? So a lot of opportunities will come. So only Mato Grosso, we're expecting to move from the current 70 million tons to 120 in the next 8-9 years. So I really don't see a problem with a market with volume. It's really about implementing and executing everything that we have to do on the right time. I think the challenge is much more about on the project and engineering side, making sure that we allocate the capex in the right, let's say, sequence in the very disciplined way. So that's what we have to do. And we have to take into account also that there's other operators that use the Paulista network. And this is without Goiás. So it's historical what is going on now. It's the connection of Goiás, Tocantins to the state of São Paulo and to the port of Santos. So this is changing completely the environment. So Goiás is already the third biggest producer in Brazil. Used to be the fourth 2 years ago. So it's a really growth area. And there's two big markets that will really use the Paulista network to export their products to Santos. And talking about value in the long term, I think we have to take into account that our strategy is to keep growing Mato Grosso. You know that we are planning to extend our rail to the north, to Lucas do Rio Verde, and this is the kind of project that would, of course, will keep adding a lot of value, not only in terms of returns, but also in terms of yields and really adding value to the business. So Paulista network is absolutely key, not only for Rumo, but for the country in terms of increasing the level of competitiveness of our agribusiness to keep supplying the world with food and with grains.
Okay, so let's try Josh again. Josh, let's see if you're on now. Josh? Okay, I think we're still having problems there. So André, can you jump in?
Sure, definitely. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, very well.
My question, thank you very much for taking my questions. So I would like to focus a little bit on the competitive environment. 2020 was the first year with the BR-163 highway fully paved. So if I would ask, personally, I'd like to ask, what were the lessons learned last year in terms of commercial policies, and what would you do differently when we think about 2021 and going forward? My second question is, when we think about returns, how do you see the trade-off between pricing and volumes? I understand there's a lot of gains of efficiency, a lot of gains of scale. So if you could comment on this trade-off, thinking about returns specifically, would be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. I think first, let me start saying that it's fair to say that the competitive environment this year, it's better than last year. And you know that we had a kind of perfect storm last year in the market. So we have the COVID crisis with the volume that impact on the fuels price on the very strong way. Of course, 163 brought a lot of competition to that area. But there's also a lot of learnings from our side in the way and the speed to adjust price on this new environment. And you know that when we go 5 years ago, we were definitely more focused on capacity. And what I was trying to say today is that we have been shifting for approach to be more customer oriented. So we expand our network to Goiás and Tocantins through central operation. We would like to extend our network deeper in Mato Grosso. We implement this new commercial structure, which will be, it's been leading by Pedro Palma, the new commercial vice president, exclusively focused on the commercial side and trying to build long-term relationship with the customer. So we are doing our homework, and but a lot of learnings, of course, from 2020. And when we look for 2021 again, it's and going to the trade-off out of your question, what I'd like to say is that our target it's maximize our market share and getting the best yield, of course, that we can in the market, but maximizing market share. So in the long run, we might have an opportunity to present better yields, but right now we are focused on volume and in cost efficiency.
Okay, we'll give one more try to Josh. Let's see if it works now.
Paula, are you hearing me now?
Yes, please.
Okay. So sorry for that audio problem. I actually connected using another device, but Beto, Paulo, thank you guys very much for the event and also for the opportunity to participate. Those were some very substantial achievements that you guys delivered last year indeed. And Beto, you mentioned a bit ago the Lucas do Rio Verde project, and I just wanted to ask if you could revisit in some detail the regulatory steps that are needed to move it forward, and also further address the issue of the environmental approvals, which I think you guys highlighted a short time ago could be the biggest obstacle. And then actually, let me just add one more point there on the same topic. If you could just touch on how much of a factor is the Ferrogrão project, in your view, both for the process of advancing with Lucas and for your expectations on the project's return potential? Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Joss. It's good to hear, and you're right. I mentioned already that the bottleneck of the Lucas do Rio Verde project, in my view, it's not the regulatory side, but the environmental side. As you know, we started the process almost 2 years ago, and this kind of project takes a lot of time to be approved in Brazil. So we are expecting to spend an extra year to finalize the environmental process. So that's the agenda, that's what we have today. Besides that, of course, we keep working very hard on the engineering side. So we already have the basic project, which is ready, which is very good news. So now it's start working on the executive project, which is necessary to start building the rail. And in the environmental, on the regulatory side, you know that we are talking, discussing with the infrastructure minister and also with the regulatory agency to find the best way to implement it. There's a couple of alternatives. I'm sure that you have been listening. We are talking about our contract. Also, there's a possibility to use this new 261 law that might be approved in the Congress as also a strong alternative to implement. So I have to say that we are talking, discussing, and really to find the best way to move forward in terms of the regulatory way to implement. I think the good news here is that when we go back to 2020, the discussion with the government was much more related to if we will bid or not, if the extension would be authorized or not. So that was the kind of conversation that we were having. Now, it's not about if, it's much about how. So the conversation now, it's how we're going to do it. So that's the kind of situation that we are living today, which for me, it's a very good news on this process. So, and this is why I keep saying that the environmental license is really the one that might take more time to start the project. Once we have it, I think we can reach Lucas in 5 years' time. So that's how we are planning. Regarding Ferrogrão, as I mentioned before, we are planning our project despite what's going to happen with Ferrogrão. This is another project. The potential, let's say, players that are analyzing Ferrogrão might have the condition to do it only if we are not extending, but that's not our case. We want to do it despite what's happened with Ferrogrão. That's our position on that project, Joss. And thank you very much for your question.
Okay, guys. So thank you so much, the three of you. Thank you, Beto. We are now done with the business presentations, all calling for a rather interesting future, to say the least. And as promised, we'll close the day with holding presentations with our CFO, Marcelo Martins, and CEO, Luis Henrique Guimarães. So over to you.
Hi. Thanks, Paula. Well, hi, everybody. Thanks for your time and for participating in our first virtual Investors Day. I would would like to start the presentation just doing a brief recap of last year. We have presented this chart since the beginning. Actually, since we started the events, the Investors Day meetings with you guys. So you have been following and monitoring our stock performance. As you know, we've done extremely well. We have outperformed Ibovespa very constantly. Last year, we had some volatility, as probably was the case with most of the companies listed in Brazil and even worldwide. But at the end of the day, I think that the stock performance improved as a result of the good results we have delivered to the market. If you look at the next slide, we're going to present you some additional details on the EBITDA under management, as we like to put it. So last year was a bit disappointing considering what we had predicted, but considering the circumstances, we think that we ended up delivering a very good result, almost 13 billion reais of EBITDA under management. I think it's a result of a very solid and well-diversified portfolio. So when you see over time what we have managed to do, even in years of great volatility, was to improve the performance of the companies, to improve the performance of the businesses all across the board. We have an example of Moove improving 3 times in 5 years. It's probably the biggest jump we had in EBITDA of the companies managed by Cosan. Same thing for the other businesses in different ratios, but still a very solid, a very robust performance. We're predicting a good result for 2021, as you know well. Another record year compared to 2019. That was our best year ever. And, again, 2020 could have been the case as well. But at the end of the day, we're happy with the performance of the businesses during last year. So next one. As you know well, the corporate restructuring took effect recently. We started this discussion last year. It's been anticipated by the market for many years, as we all know. And we have always conveyed the message that at the right time, considering the right conditions and considering the willingness of the controlling shareholder, which was a very important element in this discussion, we would do it. We ended up doing it. So what happened was that we merged the 3 holdcos, as I like to say it. We used to have the shape of an inverted pyramid because we had 3 holdcos that were listed and only 1 opco. At some point in time, we had 2 when Comgás had more liquidity. But considering the low liquidity of Comgás today, it's fair to say that the only listed company was Rumo. So through the merger of these 3 companies, we have not only simplified the structure, but we have also allowed the Cosan to increase its market liquidity, which is obviously important for the investors, it's important for us, and it's important for the management of the portfolio. The idea is that over time, we're going to list all the opcos. We have recently announced the willingness to list Raízen. We have tried to list Compass. Unfortunately, the market momentum was not very favorable last year, and we had to drop that idea. But at some point in time, when we think that it's the right market momentum, and when we think that we have managed to deliver some of the results that we have in our strategic plan, we're going to come back and we'll try to do it again. So next slide is basically talking a little bit about what we have accomplished. I think that well what we're presenting here. All the major steps we have taken over time. That our ultimate desire was to build not only a robust portfolio, but a well-diversified set of businesses. And I think we have managed to do it. The reason why we have performed so well under very volatile times is because we have a pretty diverse and complementary business portfolio. So moving forward, what we foresee is a new cycle of growth. What I can tell you is that what has basically brought us here is an outstanding team of people. We like to emphasize this point because it's certainly our most our biggest advantage, our biggest competitive advantage. It's the team of people we have at the end of the day managed to keep in our companies, and they help us not only to grow the specific businesses, but they are basically the pillars for us to keep investing in other businesses, and to know that we have the resources, the internal resources that are necessary to make sure that we keep delivering to our shareholders over time. What you should expect from us is that once we have completed the reorg, we're ready to keep investing, not only to the businesses, but also at the Cosan level as well. We are acquisitive. We have always been acquisitive, so we shouldn't expect us to change that course. So we have nothing to anticipate at this point in time, but you should know that as new opportunities surface, we'll look into them, we'll consider them, and we'll come back to you whenever we have something that we think is worth to sharing with you guys. So with that, I think that I'll wrap up my presentation, and I'll move to Luis. So back to you, Luis, and we'll talk to you again in the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcelo. Thanks for the segue. So what I will try to do now is to wrap up all the strong and very good presentations from the team. So I think you have listened from the leaders of each business, the strong plans ahead, the very strong position in terms of the market we select to compete on the 4 platforms we have, and a clear view that we can help our customers to decarbonize. So I think we are more and more confident that in every segment we have strong propositions that will help our customers and our partners to decarbonize. And we have shared with you in the previous meetings our view on the trends, and we continue to see this business environment trends being boosted by COVID in certain aspects of it. So the role of Petrobras and other incumbent players in reduce their participation in the mid and downstream on the oil and energy business. Brazil will continue to grow long in terms of oil exporter and producer of gas and oil. A change in regulatory environment more friendly to the private investments. Of course, we see some potential moves here and there, but I think the overall agenda is a liberal agenda, and now with the new Congress, a new heads of Congress, we see expectation of the reforms progressing over the next couple of months ahead, which should help sentiment towards the country. Gas and power integration, moving ahead, improving regulation, so the free market, both in gas and electricity, continue to grow, and the opportunity for us that are very strong on distribution, on marketing, customer, and sales. We, of course, we welcome that will position to our strength. And the rising relevance of Brazilian business to the world. So as Beto mentioned, we'll continue to grow. Brazil will continue to grow its export and relevance, not only locally, but globally in terms of being the farm for the world as the world gets richer and gets with more people over the next years and decades. Energy transition, strong move forward, and I think boosted by COVID and the understanding of the importance of renewables, but also the importance of being able to stabilize the grid and get the power. So a lot of learnings in terms of the Texas event and other events, so very important that we are playing the renewable side, but also the gas climate change in the agenda, as shown by Musa and all the other leaders here, and we will continue to be ready to play on that, our strength, and it's a solid foundation for the last years we have been working on that. Increased social awareness and digital transformation. So I'll share you later on example how we are going about that and the way we are trying to create an ambidextrous organization that can innovate, very solid, but have excellence and a lot of discipline on the operational side. So we have a lot of operations that have risks in terms of the products and the way we move people, products, and safety always be key to our operation. We cannot tolerate errors on that side, but we can tolerate some more errors and risk in other parts of the business that we need to innovate, and we continue to combine these two arms and this strength of the business. If you can move to the next slide, please. So when I look to our ecosystem that you have seen from all our business, so we have enormous customer reach. When you look at the 40 million people that Raízen reach every year. When you look at the 2.1 domiciles that Comgás serves, and you look at the enormous amount of retailers and industries that both Raízen and Moove serves, and you look at the connectivity that Rumo brings. So there's a lot of capillarity in a continental country, a lot of customer and supplier base. So we are looking at this portfolio all the time as a leadership here in the holding and also on the business side. We have more opportunities to strive. We have more opportunities to create services, business around that. And this is what we're trying with some small pilots, with some unique combination of different partners. And as Marcelo showed, we know how to partner with people. We have been partner of choice for several businesses, and we have been delivering our promise. And we have a unique thing that I think it's important for any developed ecosystem. It's about high recurrency. So our customers stop 3 to 4 times on our stations. They have one bill from Comgás every month. They change their oil with certain frequency. So we are in touch with these customers around the year, and we have the opportunity to connect and generate goods. So this platform, as Marcelo said, will offer new opportunities for us to grow in areas that we are not playing today. And this will become part of our opportunity connecting within our ecosystem moving forward, and especially because of the depth of our teams. So you saw here the leaders of the business, but underneath them, as you know, there's solid people in operations, in marketing, in sales, in HR, in technology that we have been attracting people and investing on their own development with strong, solid programs, with students, trainees, and we know that the bench of people will be important for our continued growth going forward. So if we can move to the next slide, please. And we have been looking a lot, and we've been quiet as always, working on our digital transformation inside the company, looking at maximizing our customer experience, looking at efficiency and cost reduction. And you can see the slide, some of the examples, but much more is happening on the customers. We'll be investing a lot in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and training our leaders and bringing people and bringing startups to work with us and develop that. And building a lot what Musa and Nelson have talked to on business intelligence and analytics. So the way we see the movement of our products, customers, we can understand much better what's happening on the markets we play. And we are putting that on our advantage, and we are learning. We have made some mistakes, we have corrected some routes, but I can assure you this company is transforming itself from inside in the digital transformation route, but also connecting outside with customers and suppliers on enabling them to be more efficient, more closely, and more loyal to our business. And I want to share with you today an example how is the Cosan way and the Cosan business system to go about innovation, and it's about reasons. So if we can go to the next one, please. So we looked a couple of years ago about the opportunity of value creation on the truck market and the logistic optimization, digitalization, a market that's very big, it's very pulverized, very scattered, and we look at the way to develop it. So we partner with KMM, which is a company from Ponta Grossa in Paraná that has the technology and expertise. We brought the Cosan leverage with governance, people, resources, financially and human, and we scale it. So we develop a long-term strategy and roadmap definition. We pivot that because we learned certain areas we are growing would not be the better areas to go. So we focus on the execution for this to happen, on the user and the customer experience. So go from the B2B as the shipping companies, but also on the autonomous driver. That's a large segment in Brazil that needs support, and our business people that we can be their angel and help them to be better business people. And sometimes we do some selective consolidation, which we have acquired a small company at the end of 2020 called B3 Agro that we already integrated to Trizi, not only in the human resource, creating a new base of development in Joinville, Santa Catarina, because you guys know how much we the fight for good technology resource, but also bringing new customers and new products. So this is the way we go about this thing. We select the market, we look at how our ecosystem can support it. We put leaders, so we brought Renato Gouveia, a very strong leader, to lead that. We partner with people that can bring additional elements to our offer, and we scale up and we keep pushing to the next level. So I want to share you a quick video so you can understand how far have we gone silent on Freezy that's becoming a leader on this space in the market. The video, please.
Freezy is a technology company that knows the truck driver, which connects the Brazilian logistics chain through intelligent tools and innovative solutions for industries, shippers, carriers, and autonomous drivers. We are a community of thousands of users who transport wealth across the country, providing solutions for all types of segments, from agribusiness to the industry of fertilizer, cement, energy, and consumer goods. We work to improve the truck driver's experience, bringing greater comfort, safety, and profitability to these professionals who set Brazil into motion. In addition, we help companies to operate their logistics better with tools that deliver service in a higher level, with data security and real-time connectivity. All this with low cost of implementation. We want to generate gains for the entire logistics chain, as well as democratize technology by delivering efficient tools from truckers to carriers, from small businesses to industry giants. Freezy, connecting Brazil's logistics.
So if you can get to the next slide, please. So we look at the trends, we look at the way we are innovating, and I want to spend a couple of minutes here on the ESG journey that we're going. We have concentrated our effort in terms of creating a clear agenda with clear targets that we have already shared with you and I'll share with you again, but also be sure that on the corporate side, myself, Marcelo, Rita, Paula, and a couple of us are focusing things about sustainable allocation of capital, the overall governance of the group, a lot on the depth of the people, and the ability to attract people for the existing projects and new projects, looking ahead, what is coming, and maximizing the portfolio performance as a whole. While the business leaders are focused again on capital discipline, that's our strength within the platforms and the markets they are playing, a lot of accountability and independence to ensure that they drive the business to the next level, focus on execution, develop other people on the business, and maximize the operational performance. And together, we are looking at a lot of synergies that can be created. And I'll just use the example of the big journey we did over the last 12 months on improving our information security process, culture, and people, which we did together, and now we are much more robust than we thought we would be in 12 months because of the team working together, working joint procurement efforts in separate categories, and looking together in new business opportunities. So we have the ability now to have a strong focus on individual business led by strong teams, management teams, while at the same time we are looking at new opportunities and the opportunities after the consolidation to continue to pile our growth and looking ahead. So if we go to the next one, please. We have clear targets within each of the business. I'm not going to bore you with the details here, but you can see, so every business has a focus in reducing emissions, reducing plastic, reducing waste, and bringing efficiency. We are of the view that efficiency in all the business will bring less use and also will bring additional value for our customers. So it's a clear route in terms of being cleaner, more efficient, and helping our customers to do the same as well. And we're working a lot on our diversity agenda. It's not easy on the segments we come from, but no excuse for us to achieve higher level of diversity. So again, clear targets for each of the companies, managements, reviewing that in the board, and a lot of programs and help and support for our people to develop and make sure that we have more and more leaders that are diverse starting with females, but also working on all the other angles of diversity. So we think that respect for different thinking, respect for different way of behaving, it's very important for us to better understand the market, generate more business, and continue to grow our base of customers and business. So if we go to the next one. So at the end, guys, and investors, we clearly want to establish us as leaders in the clean energy space with a very efficient logistics and multiplying our carbon reduction footprint. So we really want to bring all with us. So our internal teams, our customers, our suppliers, because we think together we can generate a much better plans and generate much better execution. And it's very important that in all the industry participants, we continue to generate scale. So we will continue to grow responsibly, allocating capital at the right time, but also innovating a lot with us, but also with our existing partners, new partners, and small and big startups that are complementing our effort to innovate and create our new growth cycle. And a lot of the focus will continue to be in increasing the depth of our talent base, making it more diverse over time. And with that, I want to finalize our presentations here, reinforcing that all our four platforms are very well positioned to ride the trends that the market will offer, the trends in society, and especially positioned to capture a cleaner world with more efficient logistics, relying on the strong people pipeline and the assets we have constructed and the one we construct ahead. So with that, I turn back to Paula for us to go to the last block of the Q&A. Paula, with you, please.
Okay, so let me invite Luis Carvalho from UBS BB, Marcelo Ungaretti from XP, and Regis Cardoso from CS. And first question with Luis Carvalho, please.
Thanks, Paula. Can you hear me well? Can you hear me? Okay. So thank you very much, Marcelo, Luis, for the opportunity here to, make a question, especially in the Cosan session, as we think that most of the relevant events happen on the holding level recently. And I think that the investment case has been driven, to a certain extent, from to this top down and this execution. So, as Marcelo said, you recently concluded important steps in this corporate restructuring process, and I think that my first question it's more related to the priorities looking forward in this simplification process, right? So, I have already announced that the IPO of Compass and Raízen. And so just trying to understand here, if are there any milestones that you think that worth to actually to be delivered before the IPOs, or do you think that the companies are pretty much ready to move forward on the back of the Gaspetro negotiation that was discussed by Nelson, and also the refineries potential acquisitions on the Raízen front? And following that, maybe to Luis, you brought this, I would say, ecosystem and analogy, and just would like to understand where you pen that. Where do you see the company, mainly, 3 from 5 years from now, that you have, as I mentioned, Gaspetro, you have the refineries, you have now Treasy, you have the Biosab. So just trying to understand where do you see that the company might be able to achieve in 3-5 years, and how this is matches in terms of your capital allocation strategy with potential buybacks and dividends and so on. Thank you very much.
If I may suggest, Marcelo, you can start with the capital allocation and the timings, and then Luis can follow up on the businesses and the 5-year plan.
Okay. Well, thanks, Luis. In terms of the next steps after the reorg, as we have recently announced to the market, the idea is that we would try and list all the companies, all the operating companies. Of course, there is a certain order of priority which relates mainly to the readiness of the companies and the market momentum. Always the market availability, of course. That's why Last year, we tried to do the IPO of Compass. Market was there when we started the process. When we tried to sell the deal, the market was not there anymore. We had to basically, we have to be prepared for the market, but at the same time, the company readiness is very important too. So Raízen hopefully should be the next one. I think that we would very much like to take advantage of the next market window. I would say probably the next few months, but we don't have the exact timing defined already. So for Compass, the idea is that we would come back to the market. We still plan to do the IPO of the company, raise capital to finance the expansion of the business. But as you know well, we have recently announced Gaspetro, as you mentioned. There are other potential investments in the pipeline. So we're in no hurry, no urge for Compass. Not that we are in the case of Raízen, but we think that the readiness of Raízen, considering the recent acquisition of Biosev, is now. As for Compass, we would rather wait for eventually the next window of opportunity. It's important that we follow a certain order of priority, as I said before, and I think that the next priority is Raízen for us.
So if I segue from that, Luis, thanks for your question. So the way we see, you saw the individual plans for each of the companies, right? So they are very clear, very well structured, and they will continue to pursue that. So, but we also are looking, like we show you the opportunity of 3Z, everything that's happening in the markets in terms of mobility, e-commerce, logistics. So we are in the middle of all these things, right? With connectivity with these customers, recurrence, a lot of capillarity within the country, have a lot of movements of money between our companies, our customers, and our suppliers. So we are looking using technology, associations, etc., to develop business that will be strong, material, that would require our type of competence to play. So we don't have anything, let's say, today to communicate, but what I can assure you that we're exploring several ideas in several areas to see which ones are concrete and we can pursue and move forward and become relevant business to that. And of course, as you look from Felipe and Moove, also the international arm of the business will continue to grow, led by Moove, but also, as Musa also pointed, there's opportunities for business in other places like a license or creating base for second generation or other types of product that would use our knowledge, technology, and people. So it's enormous in our view, the opportunity. What we need now is ability to prioritize, as we always do, focus in order to become the material so we can achieve leadership in the areas we select to play, like we have done with our 4 established platforms as we have today.
Okay, Marcela now.
Thank you, Paula. Hi, everyone. Hope you are well and safe. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you all today. So my question is regarding Cosan's ESG agenda as a whole. You have been focusing a lot on the topic and even making important commitments in your different business, such as reducing emissions per RTK by 15% until 2025 at Rumo, and reducing by 10% the carbon footprint of the ethanol produced by Raízen until 2030. So my question is, among the topics you presented today, what do you see as the biggest opportunities for the company on the ESG agenda? And also, what are the main challenges? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcela. Thank you, Marcela. Excellent topic. So we would like to say that we are bringing all experience we have on the safety side transformation about getting the hearts and minds of the people to continue this journey that we embark. And we think that the opportunities are immense, as I think we show here and put some targets, but all the focus we are looking at how can we help our customers through our operations with us to reduce their carbon footprint. Because we touch so many sectors, so many geographies, so many businesses, and are crucial for the movement of people and goods and the use and the progress of the business, we believe that we can play a role in helping customers and suppliers to decarbonize. So this is, we think, is the biggest opportunity we have, and this is where we are looking at our products, our service, a way to do business, to work with each in different segments in a way that they will see impact of moving the operations and work with us. And given our track record of efficiency, and we like efficiency because efficiency is doing more with less. And this is all about, in our view, being caring with the environment and be able to give benefits back to the society. So we'll continue to pursue that using more and more technology to increase our efficiency in everything we do. So that will remove the rail cars with less energy in the future. And also we will expand the network with less energy and less materials. The same will happen with our products. So our concentration effort is doing more with less and helping our customers to decarbonize. So the challenge is moving a huge organization of our side and getting the hearts and minds of the people. We are confident that we can do that because we have done that on safety. We're still learning, but we are confident that we'll embrace that. Because it's very nice to work for a company and a group that's trying to make the world better and to reduce the carbon emissions that every customer is producing and bringing progress to society and to the communities we operate in.
Okay, now Regis.
Thank you, Paula. Thanks, Luis, Marcel, for taking the questions. So I'll come back to the topic of capital allocation. And in particular, I mean, the Cosan Group has now become a holding company with very diversified portfolio of assets, each one of them very material businesses, which are investing quite substantially for the future. So I guess my question, Luis, Marcel, for you is, how should investors see this portfolio? I think, you know, in the early days of Cosan, investors tend to look at it mostly as a sugar and ethanol play, and then it eventually migrated to more of a fuel distribution play, whereas now it's changing. Right now you have Rumo inside the same portfolio with very substantial investment plans. Likewise for Compass expanding, the Biosev acquisitions, all the investments in renewables. So how do you see the relative sizes of each one of those businesses growing relative to what they are today? And in particular, if you could comment, what is the role of each one of those businesses in that portfolio? Like in the past, Compass would be, you know, a cash generation that would fund the growth in other businesses. It appears that many of the companies are now seeking, you know, third-party capital from the market to finance their ambitious growth plans. So if you could comment on the role of each one of the businesses and how the mix of the portfolio changes going forward. Thank you.
Okay, Luis, I think you can probably take the opportunity to go through everything and summarize the event here, right?
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that. And Marcelo, please jump in if I miss something. I think first, we want this business to have their own independence and grow and improve their relation with the market, with the customers, with the suppliers, and with the team, right? So we're not going to be here putting a strain. We want them to have high ambitions and continue to dream high and follow through. So this, I would say, it's the first message that Beto, Musa, Nelson, and Felipe are empowered to do, and we continue to do so. And from the holding level, we'll continue to support them with ideas, with some people, and of course, assessing the market and helping them to be successful. The second thing I want to talk about is about, we believe that now these markets have enough strength and enough materiality to be very relevant on the segment. So our smallest one was Moove, but the movement of Moove in the last, especially 2 years, were very impressive. When you look at them, Moove is ready to get to the 1 billion club, right? So this business have created their own capability to move forward and look at the opportunities as they mentioned. So we see this business as having their own set of priorities, of course, orchestrated between us, but we will, as I put on the look at the ecosystem and the ability to create new business, looking at opportunities that are cross business, that contemplate synergies that we can extract from the portfolio, and eventually looking at a fifth platform if it appears. So Raízen will continue to be a growth platform, exploiting their proximity and renewable energy approach. Compass will play the transformation of the gas and power business and all the infrastructure and market projects that are already outlined and the ones that will come, enabling Brazil to exploit its richness and abundance of gas and taking low-cost gas to a lot of industry domiciles and commerce. Beto will continue to bring the connection between the largest producers of grains and protein to the world, and doing so on a more efficient, lower cost, and cleaner way. And Felipe will lead our globalization, right? We see a lot of opportunities in the Americas and Europe, and we will continue to pursue them in order to do that. And capital will be allocated as the return of the projects and the discipline of keeping our leverage, as well as our ability to continue to fund this business and the holding with the appropriate level. So we are very excited about the growth we have ahead. We are very excited about the team we have constructed. We are very excited about the culture that has developed. And we are very excited about the transfer of people that we have managed to do over the last few years, and ensuring that we are giving our team the ability to develop, the ability to pursue their dreams, and especially to help the decarbonization. That's one of the priorities of the world and Brazil going forward. And at the end, Brazil, I think, and we believe firmly that in Raízen, in Compass, in Rumo, and Moove will be known as one of the green power of the next century. And we're ready to exploit that, we're ready to support that, and we're ready to put our resource to work on it. So thanks for the confidence of the investors that have helped us through these last years, and especially through the consolidation of the holdings. Thanks for being with us today, and hope to see you next year personally, but it's time for us to get in touch again. Have a good day and keep safe.
Luis, just to complement what you just said, I think you covered pretty much everything. But Regis, there's one information that I think is quite interesting, and I've been repeating that recently. It's the fact that back in 2008, the EBITDA of the group of Cosan was less than the EBITDA of Moove this last year. So that gives investors and our business partners an idea of how we have managed to grow this portfolio over time, how successful we have been in our strategy to diversify the businesses and to keep reducing the risk exposure of the group overall. We tend to need less capital today than we used to. First, because the businesses are big and they are self-sustainable. The idea is that those businesses should continue to be self-sufficient, so they have to address their own capital needs without the need to rely on the controlling shareholder to supply their funds or to finance the growth of the businesses. And I think it's going to continue to be the case. So we don't necessarily think that they're going to need our support moving forward. If that's the case, we're ready to help, but I don't think it will be necessary. There is enough cash in the system today, not only to finance the growth of the businesses respectively, but also to address the potential needs of the holdco to not only pay dividends to its shareholders, but eventually use part of the funding to finance the growth of the business portfolio. We're going to keep investing in the growth of the portfolio. I can tell you right now what the next step is going to be, because there's nothing mature enough at this point in time to be disclosed. But I think that we're ready to keep investing, because it's part of our DNA, it's our nature to grow the portfolio. We love to manage the portfolio. We still see a lot of opportunities, potential value creation all across the board. And we're very happy with what we used to call the permanent portfolio, which is composed by the companies you know today. We wouldn't rule out other opportunities, eventually new verticals. There's nothing, as I said, ready for the next announcement, but we'll keep searching for opportunities as we think that there's plenty of value creation still to come from the existing businesses and potentially new businesses as well.
Okay, so mission accomplished. 12th Cosan Day and counting, hopefully in person next year. So just before we finish, I would like to really thank you, the IR, planning, ESG, and communication teams for the amazing job preparing this event. And stay safe, have a nice day, and see you next year.
Take care. Bye-bye.